All right, so in this tutorial, we're going to do is make an HTML5 game, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do I don't remember what it's called. It's like a baby bounce game. It looks like this, actually. I'll show you because might as well have it here. Okay, so you may have played this before. Usually it's like a fireman's game. Okay, I'm going to refresh this real quick. Okay, so basically you move this object, and you got to get the babies to the other side, right? So that's what we're doing. You get the idea. Okay, so and you're trying to get as many of them across before you let them not make it, I guess. So I remember way back when a DOS game, it would be like this burning building, and then it was firemen, and you had to like catch the people as I think it was babies. So that's what we're making, because I think you could use this to apply to make any number of games, like a platformer or a shooter game or whatever. It'll have most of the elements, but it'll be still relatively simple, so I can get it done in a decent amount of time. So we're going to close out of that. So we're going to make a new one. So create new. We're in Animate, obviously. Um, and okay, so what we're going to do is keep it on web. However, the resolutions here, I don't think are going to work that well for me, because I need more height and I need more length in order to be able to, properly play the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1280 by 960. Now you can change these dimensions to whatever you like. It doesn't actually make that much difference. I'm just choosing this because 1280 is pretty far. Um, so your screen typically, like a typical computer screen, is gonna be 1920 by 1080. So 1080 being up and down. So 960 will be less than that, and 1280 will be less than this. But it still won't. It won't be the entire thing. You don't want to make it the whole thing because it'll make it hard. So we're gonna go with that, and then we'll hit create. All right, so the first thing we're gonna need, I'm gonna zoom out here, are the two things, the ball and the paddle. So I'm just gonna go over here, and you can just replace these graphics afterwards. In fact, I'm gonna ask you to do that as part of the assignment. I'm just gonna make this stroke 3, so it's a little bit nicer looking, and I'm gonna hold Shift, and we'll just make a ball. Let's say that size. Okay, that'll be my ball. So I'm gonna double click on it so I get the whole thing. I'll hit F8, or you can go to Modify, convert to symbol. Choose movie clip. That's probably fine. And we will call this ball underscore MC. Okay, so ball movie clip. Hit OK. Boom. One part done. Then we're going to need the paddle part here. So this could be any number of things. I think I'll just do the rectangle tool this time. And we'll click and drag and think about how big you want it. So we'll say that big. Double click on that. I'm just going to hit F8 this time. And we're going to call this paddle underscore MC. Okay. Now we have our two elements. I'm going to move this out of the way because we're going to work on this guy first. So this is going to need a name. So we have a name of the movie clip, right? We have two objects that we've made. However, it needs an instance name so I can interact with it through code. So we're just going to call this ball like that. Okay. And what we're doing, we'll grab this one and we'll call this one paddle. All right. And that'll make it easy. So when we want to grab this, it's ball. When we grab this, it'll be paddle. Pretty simple. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we need to add our elements for the code here. So what we're going to do is hit F9. Hang on, let me turn my phone off here. There we go. Okay, we're going to hit F9 so we get that. We don't like to code. We like to try and write as little code as possible, although we are going to have to write a decent amount. I'm going to click on the code snippets. It's going to bring this up. And we are going to be doing HTML5 canvas, so open that one up. And we're going to be doing things a little bit different. Most of the other stuff we've been doing has just been straight up timeline navigation. That's not what we're going to be doing. What I want to do is I want to try and apply some gravity to basically this ball here, okay? And then we can kind of go from there. All right, so to do that, what we're going to do is go to animation. And you can see it says move vertically. Moves the specified object up or down a number of pixels you specify. That seems pretty good, but I actually want to do animate vertically because that will continuously move it within the tick event. And I'll explain that in a second. So you got to select it first and then just double click on animate vertically. And it's going to make this, okay? So I'm going to get rid of the comments here. And it says this, .add listener, yada, 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 this .ball, right? So that should be good. All right, and then we'll just hit Control Enter, and you should see it slowly moving down, right? Pretty similar to what we want to do. I mean, also not, but gets the right idea going. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to break this down, and then we'll go from here. So I want to basically make this like we make video games, where I'm going to have different functions for different um, that will run at certain times. So if you look at this one, see how it says tick? Tick means that every time it goes a frame, it's going to run what's inside this function, right? Because we have an event listener that's onto the stage. It's listening for the tick event, which just means every frame change, and then it runs this. I'm going to change the name of this function from this weird thing here to update, and then we'll name the function here update, because this is a little bit more like what you would see in other programs. So basically, we're going to make our own update function. And you want, I would go ahead and hit Control Enter, make sure it's still working so you didn't mess up the name or something. I'm not going to do that because I'm fairly certain I didn't. And what we're going to do is we're going to now make this work, okay? So this update function, I'm going to have this do a whole bunch of things, right? So I need to be able to test every frame for certain things. So for one, I'm going to need to move this every frame. I'm going to test whether it's hitting the ground or the side, or whether it's hitting the panel, okay? So we're going to need all those things. So instead of putting it all inside this function, I'm going to make functions that run inside of this. So we're going to do a function, and we'll call it ball move. This will move our ball like that, okay? And what we're going to do is take this out, and we're going to do, we're going to call ball move like that. And now every time it runs this update, which will run in every frame, it's going to run this whatever's inside this function. And so we'll put all the moving ball stuff inside of here, as opposed to putting it all in here, because otherwise we'd have a bunch of stuff. It's just much more organized this way. Okay. So what I want to do is I need to apply gravity to this. Okay. So what we're going to do is up on the top, we need to basically fake our gravity. So we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to try and get the ball moving down in this video, and then we'll do the rest. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to set what gravity is. Gravity, when it first starts moving, is going to be 0. Okay? Because if you hold a ball up in the air and then let go for the first whatever, it's not moving at all, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a gravity multiplier. And we'll set that equal to 0.5. So the idea here is this. If you remember physics at all, I don't know if you've taken it, but objects move 9.8 meters per second squared, which means that if you were to watch this when we first did it, right, you'll notice it moves one consistent speed going downwards, right? Just slowly moves down. That's not how gravity works, right? It starts slow, and then it gets faster and faster and faster, right? It just keeps getting faster as it goes. It eases into that. So the reason why that works, like gravity, is because it's 9.8 meters per second squared, which means the first time, if you were doing this 100% accurate, is it would move 9.8 meters on the first frame. But then the second frame, it would be 9.8 meters plus 9.8 meters. So it would move twice as far in the second frame. And then so on and so forth. So basically, it would get faster and faster as it goes. That's what this multiplier is going to be. We're going to have an increase in speed every frame. Okay? Now, one of the things we're also going to need, actually, we'll leave it alone. Okay. So the other thing I want to do is we're going to take these and add them to the ball speed, so that we can tell it how much to move left and right and up and down. So we're going to have variables for that as well. So we're going to do ball speed y. We'll make that initially equals 0, right? Because it's going to start off at 0. And then we'll do ball speed x, and we'll give that a value of 10. So we're going to have it move at one consistent speed going from left to right, and that'll just be 10. So basically, it's just going to add 10. But you might want to change this, and we will actually change it over time in order to increase the difficulty. But we're just going to say that it moves 10 left and right on x, and currently it moves 0 on y. But we're going to apply this to it in order to get that to work more correctly. Okay. So now what we're going to do is down in this ball move function. Let's go ahead and just let's do our we'll make our gravity. Okay, so gravity will be plus equals the gravity multiplier, like that. Okay, so what that means is that on every tick, it's going to take what gravity currently is. So on the first frame, it's going to be 0. So on the first tick, or after the first tick, it's going to, or no, it'll be on the first tick. It's going to make gravity 0.5. Okay, then when it's the next tick, it's going to make gravity 1. Then on the next tick, it will be 1.5. And then it will be so on and so forth. Okay, and what that's going to mean is that we're going to move this down. It'll move down, 0.5. Then it's going to move down 1 for the next frame. Then it's going to move down 1.5. And it's going to move down 2. So you see it's going to get faster. It's going to move more every time based on this map multiplier. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and take the ball speed y and make that equal to, or I'm sorry, make that plus equal to gravity. Okay, so whatever speed it's currently going, it's going to add that on top of it. Okay, so ball speed the first time will just be equal to gravity, which will be 0.5, but then it's going to add it on top of it the next time. Okay, after that's done, we actually need to move our ball, right? So right now we're making variables, but none of this is actually applying to this. So to actually make it, to apply this ball speed y, we're just going to go ahead and you're going to have to do it this way. So you might have noticed up here, when we had it in here, it said this dot ball, yada, 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 that it was going to work. Unfortunately, what we have to do is you have to write it this way instead. It's going to be export root dot ball dot y is going to be plus equals ball speed y, like so. Okay, I wonder if can I make this bigger? Oh, that made that bigger. 0. Oh, can. Okay, good. Just control. It's control and scroll in. Control plus and minus does not work. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna hit Control Enter and we're gonna test it. And just so you can see, if I refresh, see how it's going faster and faster, like so. Right? Looks like gravity. So basically now we've got gravity applying to it, that every frame gravity is going to increase by this amount. We're going to take the ball speed and add whatever the extra thing is to it. And then on the ball, we're going to change its position. So this is actually the position, ball.y. We're going to take whatever the current position of it is and then add that ball speed y to it. Okay, that number that we're getting from here. And that will move it down. I think I'm going to call that good on this video. And then in the next one, we'll... Oh, you know what we'll do too, actually? So let's go ahead and actually make this move too. So we'll move it to the right as well. So export root dot ball dot x will be plus equals, and that will be ball speed x. And that's just going to move it from left to right. So you're just going to see it do this now instead. Right? I don't know if you can tell, but it's just moving over. Okay. So we now got that ball more or less what we want it to do, which is going to go like that. It's just going to fall over, which is perfect. Okay. So now we've got the ball move function, and that looks pretty okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and save that. Hopefully you can see all the code here. Make sure this all works before you do the next video, and then we'll do the next one.